Hey everybody, I'm Anthony.
And I'm Rachel.
This week on episode 70 of Taking Control, Facebook invades our homes.
Featured snippets are going double.
All this and more live from SEO.
It's Taking Control! Woo!
All right, welcome everybody to our very special Halloween edition of Taking Control. This is episode 70. I'm Anthony.
And I'm Rachel.
And we have some very spooky stories to cover with you guys this week.
Halloween's the best.
As you can see, Rachel is sporting her finest mouse.
Not that anybody should be surprised after last week. I'm not a mouse. I'm Minnie.
Minnie Mouse. Minnie is a mouse. She is a Disney aficionado. I am a basketball player.
So clearly I won the contest, but that's okay.
I'm the process.
We were,
with some scary skills on the court. So we will
in that case, first story.
Snapchat, let's get into it. So Snapchat, everyone knows, is on your phone. It could be on your iPad, I guess, as well. But it's a mobile application. So the reason why we are talking about Snapchat is because they are starting to make a move towards desktop. They now have this filter, this snap camera filter that you can use on your computer, your laptop, your desktop, whatever it might be. An interesting move. Basically, it applies some cool filters, some cool frames, and things like that you can do. Obviously, you can see some on the screen, but really, to me, it kind of seems like a little bit of a last-ditch effort.
Yeah, the thing that really stood out to me is you don't even need a Snapchat account to be able to get the filters.
Right.
On one side, I can be the puppy filter all the time if I really want to, but on the other side, how does this help Snapchat grow? How does it help them stay relevant? Just because you want people to download your app and make an account. Well, if all you need to do is download, the cam filter, then how is Snapchat growing if you don't have to make an account with that?
Yeah.
I feel like there was some lack of thought there.
Yeah, it's interesting too because there's just so many things out there that kind of do this already. As well. And I mean, I get, you've got your Snap friends and everything like that, but it just seemed interesting, an interesting move. But they also realized that, video and content creation is it's been a huge piece of 2018 and the last few years. It's going to be a huge piece of 2019. There's a lot of people who are taking to YouTube to vlog their lives or to create content or whatever it might be. So, trying to get in front of people who make content every day is kind of the route. But again, they likely have access to some of the more premier tools out there that they can kind of take care of all this for you. But,
yep. Or you can use the pup filter 24/7.
Yeah, you can use the pup filter, which I'm a fan of. I like the pup filter.
Oh, I love the pup filter.
Okay. Moving on to story number 2. So everybody knows that when you Google something, the results that show up tend to be a little bit different for everybody. So some results might bring back the local pack, while others won't. Some will bring back actual products, whether it's Google Shopping. Some won't. Some will bring back images. Google has been working to kind of fine-tune certain verticals and industries for a long time, and one of those is hotels. So Google knows that when you're searching for a hotel, you're usually looking to book a hotel. So they kind of streamline this whole process, and for the last few years, if you were to look for a hotel on Google, you'd get presented. You can book right there.
You can make a reservation right from Google.
Yep, they'll give you all the options. They'll price check everything. You can actually make the reservation. So these changes are Google basically, after a few years of getting feedback and kind of fine-tuning things, they've redesigned how this hotel looks. I think the bigger story here is it's important to note that Google is trying to do a lot on Google. So if you have the options to book a hotel right there or to book a flight right there or whatever it might be, that's one less step of going to an actual website. So this is an industry where people, have typically seen a little bit of a less traffic to the actual website and a little bit more of the booking here. So it's just an important play. But the big thing I think with some of these changes is it's super filter centric. So you can look for hotels in Baltimore, but as soon as I check off that I want a bed and breakfast, it completely limits that list to another set of hotels. Or if I want a free breakfast or whatever it might be. These filters that Google is working with really kind of help hone in the search because everyone's looking for a little bit something different. So
yeah, so keep in mind here that this isn't just Google making up these reservation platforms on their own. They're taking it from places like Expedia and Hilton and things like that. So in the end, optimizing your website is also really important here because this is where Google is getting their results. It's not just googlehotels.com, though I think they might have
hotels.google.com.
Is that a thing?
I don't know.
Okay, well, if they do, there you go. But so if you own some sort of, residential, oh not residential, what's the word I'm looking for? Hospitality, institution, whether it's a bed and breakfast, hotel,
Right.
Or maybe even a travel agent. These are things to think about that, searchers are searching for these and Google are giving them different results. So that might, change the way you market yourself, change the way you optimize yourself online, but just, you're not out for the count. Hospitality.
Yeah,
industry,
no,
not out for the count.
certainly not. And Rachel brings up a good point. You'll see that they do pull from Expedia or Booking or Priceline or whatever it might be. The same way kind of Google for Jobs pulls
Yep.
from LinkedIn or Monster or whatever it might
And
be.
Glassdoor.
Yep. So this is just typical Google fashion, and Rachel's certainly right in the sense that your website's ultimately the final stop, and you have complete control over what images you show and what type of videos you show and the reviews you show. Whereas with Google, they're pulling from these curated type websites like that. So something to definitely think about. But there is a completely new redesign. I know I've used Google to book a hotel in the past.
I've also used Google to book a flight.
I've not done that, just
I've
the
done
hotel.
it.
So I'm interested to try it out. But this has been a nice change from Google. Shifting to something that caught my attention this weekend when I was watching football, and that was that I saw my first Facebook Portal TV commercial.
You saw it on TV?
I've saw it on. Have you not seen?
No, I didn't see it on TV.
So I saw it on
watched
TV.
one game at 9 a.m.
That's what. Yeah,
Go Birds.
Go Birds. That's where. That's what caught my attention. Obviously we've heard about this Facebook device for like a year now.
We've
I forget
talked about it.
the Aloha. Was that the old rumored name?
Was that what it was?
Aloha. I think it was Aloha.
I just remember.
Which I like better, for the record, than Portal.
I agree. I remember Lance being like, you know what, guys, this is gonna be big, and maybe like, yeah, okay, I highly doubt that. And
Yeah.
look, he called it. So Lance Bachman was correct. Not that he's never not correct, but he called the Facebook video platform over a year ago.
It was a long time ago. And so for everybody that's just finding out about the Facebook Portal, this is essentially Facebook's kind of entry into the home hub device. That home device, you have your Amazon Alexas, your Echoes, your Echo Dots, your all those. You have your Google Home, you have your Apple Home Pod, I believe, that uses Siri. Now you have Facebook's iteration into that, and it comes at 3 different variations. I think it's, what did I say, $200, $300, and $350. The important thing there is the $350 is a unit. That thing is massive.
It is a unit.
It is like 16 inches big. It's an actual like laptop size screen. But what this will do is it obviously syncs with your Facebook. You can video chat very, very quickly. That's one of the biggest things I think they're pushing, is that you can video chat friends and family who you haven't seen. I think that's one of their commercials even, is a family that hasn't seen each other in a while, video chatting. But I think the bigger thing here is just what all these home devices are, and that's just this massive sort of data collector type device. Every decision you make and search you make via voice or whatever it might be is being recorded. These data points are getting sent back. There was a great TED Talk done a few years ago where somebody listened to all of the communication between these devices and their parent company. So these Alexa devices were pinging back to Amazon like every 3 or 4 minutes. So you have to understand that this is a big data type play where they can I don't want to say, because obviously there's privacy that comes into play, but if you're talking about how you broke up with your boyfriend or girlfriend, and then next thing you know you've got ads for whatever it might be. What's the big dating, eHarmony or whatever, Match.com? That's the future. That's a scary future, but that's what it is. Based on your conversations and what you're doing, what you're watching on TV, getting ads, getting things kind of served up relevant. Why did you look that way when I said eHarmony?
I just thought it was funny.
Okay.
I think ironically, because the last time we talked about this, I was recently single, and Lance made a point to talk about my bad signal.
Yeah,
so that was just kind of a nice kick in the heart. But anyway,
just a refresher for the folks at home.
For the folks at home, don't worry.
Yes.
I found someone, so we're good. But the point that I really wanted to make, well, there's 2 points here. The first one was the way Facebook was marketing, their home device. A lot of the other businesses, they were doing it like voice search.
Right.
You need more toilet paper, say, hey Google, I need more toilet paper. You want to use it as like AI in your home. But this one, they really took the road of how Facebook is trying to, rebrand their platform. Stay in touch with family, stay in touch with friends. It's like community, the family. They're really personalizing it, which I think was great. I think it's a really good marketing tool because it's almost making them a step apart from the other 3 or 4.
Right.
I was talking to, our executive producers, I was talking to Anthony earlier, and I was saying, like, what's the difference here? because they all end up doing the same thing. Even so, the other point I was gonna make that brings me into my next topic was that the portal works with Alexa.
Right.
So Alexa is that voice search AI in the portal. So it technically does the same thing. What makes it different? But they're really marketing it to, to stay in touch with your family, stay in touch with your friends. Really, what Facebook is meant for, what Mark Zuckerberg and his team over there are trying to get back to. So I think it's a great way to kick off this brand new project, just because it's making it different. The rest of it is just like, well, I can turn my lights off by saying it, or I can, buy more detergent from my kitchen. But
all great things.
Yes, everybody needs lights and detergent, but I think this is being a personal person and, wanting to keep in touch with my friends, my family that live across the country, and, my sisters that are national. I think it's a good step, and that is more attractive to me when looking to buy a home assistant. Or
Yeah, I'm a loner, so I would not need a $350.
I'm not saying I need a
No. I'm just saying, because the biggest thing for that, you're right, Facebook was kind of showing was like family, friends, communicating. I just don't think that I would video chat enough to, maybe this makes somebody want to.
I can't see Anthony FaceTiming.
I used to
I do, I FaceTime my roommates. Oh, y'all are in the same state now.
We roll long distance, so the other thing that we FaceTime in real life now, Ryan, I love you. And so the other,
he didn't know about the dating apps. That's good.
Yeah, exactly. What's the
the
other big thing though that Rachel mentioned is the Alexa component to this, and I think that's really, really big. So Facebook, instead of trying to create their own sort of voice chat, create their own AI, create their own sort of system, if you can't beat them, join them, and they essentially said, hey, Alexa, do you guys want to come over, or Amazon rather, do you want to come over and team up and put Alexa on our devices? So super, super interesting point. It almost seems now that it's Facebook and Amazon versus Google versus Apple type thing as far as the home devices are concerned. But yeah, very, very interesting product and something to definitely look out for if you are in the market for a home device. This kind of goes back to the whole streaming thing where there's so many, and it's like, well, you have to pick one. So you know.
Like cable, I have no home devices. So
I have an Echo Dot, which
really,
is just a little teeny tiny.
I guess I'm just living in the Stone Age just because I have cable and a cell
phone.
I
want a screened one though. I do want a screened one. So maybe the portal Christmas.
Woo, at Ryan.
Moving along to another change that Google has been making to the search results page. So, we talked about just previously that how, the search results really changes for every search. Some are going to warrant, hey, let's actually show you the best TVs for 2018 if you're looking for top rated TVs or whatever, but show you that grid or that list with all the features, but show you actual hotels that you can book or whatever it might be. One of the things that's really, really big right now, and we just got back from PubCon, and one of the things that was talked about in all of my sessions was the featured snippet side of things, and that is literally Google giving you the answer at the top of a search result. So if I Googled, what is George Washington's birthday, I don't need to click on a website to find out what his birthday is. Google's just going to give me that answer. Or I Google, who's the president of, France, or whatever it might be. I'll get the answer to who's the president for France.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you knew that, and that's why you were saying that. No. But you'll get the answer.
I feel like I should know it.
No, you shouldn't. And even, get more broad than that. If I want to Google, what's the best apple pie recipe, there's going to be an answer box. Now, there's 1,000 apple pie recipes out there, but Google is selecting one to be that answer box, which is really interesting. Now, with what they're doing is they're testing, showing 2 featured snippets back to back, which is really, really intense, I feel like.
Yeah, just another example to go past that is I stepped in mud on Saturday with my white, beautiful shoes.
Totaled.
They were ruined. But the first thing I did was Google, and I was able to see 2 different,
Oh, you got the 2 featured.
I did get the 2 featured, which I didn't really, put 2 and 2 together until we were talking about in our live meeting, just because I was like, what's the point of that? And Manny, one of our producers, made a really good point in saying, now not everybody is fighting for the first spot, but you're fighting for the first 2. And if I get the first 2, I'm then gonna read both of them, because what if I don't think baking soda is gonna take mud out of my white Vans? Why don't I try a homemade remedy and things like that?
Did it work?
They did, but I cheated and used brand spray, because Rye Guy's a sneakerhead.
Really?
He is. So he has all these fun little sprays and things, and I was like, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I took a tumble in the mud.
Story time.
I took a tumble in the mud.
So
anyway, but that saying is like, I think between my experience, your experience, and what Manny said beforehand, it makes a really good point. Like, instead of everybody fighting for the first spot, it also gives you some leeway for the second spot. So if you have 2 articles on your website, you're gonna wanna be those 2 besides, like, you know, wikihallow.com and like vans.com.
Yeah,
for my shoes.
And there's a lot of chatter about featured snippets. You know, how do we get them? What queries bring them back? And really, the answer is incredibly simple, and that is just provide the best answer. So if you want to own the featured snippet for, you know, how to do a VLOOKUP in Excel, for example, very common problem. A lot of people have that issue. You know, there are plenty of websites that give that answer and give you step by step. You know, if you want to be the answer, though, you know, Google has to see you as the authority. They have to see that you give it step by step. You don't, you know, you bullet it out. Here's step 1, here's step 2, here's step 3. Or, you know, something silly like people think, well, I'm a plumber and I'm an electrician. There's nothing that comes back, but you'd be really, really surprised. You know, something as simple as people Google all the time, you know, can I put chicken wing bones down the garbage disposal? You know,
the answer is no, but
that is a legitimate question that people might be Googling, and there is an answer box for that exact question. So there you go. If you're a plumber, you're a local electrician, or whatever it might be, that's something. Those are things that you need to kind of be looking at, and or you know, what is the weird smell coming out of my heater that I just turned on for the first time this year? That's a really, really common issue, really common question. There are answer boxes for that. It's kind of a double-edged sword in that you're giving people the answer, so there's less reason for them to click through to your website. So you know, people think, well, I'm going to see traffic dip, but the reality is that position 0 is so coveted right now, and it drives so much more traffic if you had that spot that it's incredibly worth keeping an eye on what you could be found relevant for. And then, like Rachel said, create content around that and make sure that you're the best answer.
That's the point I was going to make. Food for thought for your content marketers out there. This is why web content and blog content are so important, because you want to get questions that people want to know and information like this on your website to be able to win, to be able to go into the opportunity to be that winner, that second winner for featured snippets. So I mean, overlooked before, like I never realized it until I started to work here and got to work with Anthony and Lance and see like how valuable featured snippets are. And you as users, as searchers, don't realize how much you use it. I used it for my sneakers. You probably used it for your pie.
Yep. Yeah.
And things like that.
Well, yeah, the pie. Yeah, that's funny. I forgot about that. But yeah, the other thing to know about featured snippets is Google is putting so much stock in these featured snippets that the curve of how many queries or searches that bring back a featured snippet is just a hockey stick. It's just going straight up. So every day, more and more search queries are bringing back a featured snippet, and something Google is really putting their stamp on. So. Moving along, so one of the things on one of my favorite episodes was when we were at Wells Fargo. One of the big hot topics of that episode with Lance and Scott and myself was just surrounding net neutrality. There was an impending, big court case that day, I think, when we were talking about it. And obviously the big thing there was trying to dismantle net neutrality, which of course protects everybody, gives everybody equal access to the internet, whatever it might be. So the story that came out this week was that California, the state of California, is actually delaying sort of the effects of that net neutrality law. So it's an interesting play. Everyone kind of thought that this was sort of a nationwide thing, and obviously there's a lot of fine details that go into these laws and all the legality of it and the big companies and everything like that. But it is an interesting play that, it's the chatter surrounding net neutrality is certainly not dead yet, and there's still a lot of discussion being had surrounding what do we do with this powerful tool we have, the internet? How do we allow access? Do we allow the same internet speeds to everybody, or do certain companies have the right to throttle speeds or whatever it might be? So I think it's an interesting topic. 2
points here. The first point is just making it stay relevant. Anthony made a really good point saying like, okay, the court case happened and there was a verdict and then everybody just forgot about it. But for people in the digital space, digital marketers, IT support, small businesses who are marketing their business, you have to be, understanding and you have to be aware of what the FCC is going to do, how net neutrality is going to change internet as we know it, and things like that. Really just a reminder to stay informed and to stay involved. The second you stop paying attention is the second all your campaigns are going to go whack. The second portion of this is, my understanding for net neutrality was that the big corporations were going to be the ones to kick it off. So it's interesting here that the government and the FCC are being the ones to say, hey, like, this is our deal, and California is like, but we're going to delay it. So it's also just a toss-up of who has ownership here. Is it the government and the FCC, or is it, the big corporations like Amazon, Google, Yahoo,
Comcast,
whatever.
Verizon,
So two big things here. Obviously, like there's way more, it goes way deep, like all that fine print than I myself even know, and I'm sure Anthony you agree with. But really just saying that if California can delay it, what's gonna say the other 49 states will?
Yeah.
You know, like you never know what's gonna happen here. Please, please, please stay informed. That's one of the biggest things we do here on Taking Control is really just want to make sure, you know, the viewers, digital marketers, you know, or even small to medium-sized businesses who market themselves in the digital space. You have to stay informed because, like we said, the second you stop, the second, you know, your campaigns are gonna go out of whack. So.
Yeah, no,
that's my advice.
Absolutely. And one of the analogies that was given to me a long time ago that I tend to use was just, you know, when you sign up for a cell phone plan, you know, there's that really fine print where everybody now has unlimited data, and that's great. But after you use 10 gigs of data, we're going to throttle the speeds of your connection. You know, you're going to get less of a faster connection the more data that you use because you're using too much essentially. So, you know, that's essentially to a degree the concept of this as well, where without net neutrality, you know, these big internet companies could essentially throttle how fast you could stream a video or how fast you could access your internet or whatever it might be. And it's kind of a scary thought, but that's where we're at. It's like Ranger said, it's incredibly still relevant, and there's a lot of discussion still surrounding this on all parties. So it is important to kind of keep up to date as best you can with what's going on there, because internet is something that obviously affects every single one of us every single day. So.
Yeah, and that's one of my biggest personal takeaways being a part of the wonderful team of Taking Control is keeping our viewers, our clients, and our digital marketer colleagues informed. You know, how many times a week do I say, like, make sure your passwords are recovered? It's really just things like that. So if you take anything from this episode, please stay informed, whether it's a featured snippet, you know, Facebook's home, or just how net neutrality can, you know, throw your digital marketing or even throw your business in gear or in shock. You know, just stay informed. Step off my soapbox now. I didn't think it was going to turn into that.
Speaking of staying informed, though, we have our very first conference coming up. It is the One Conference, and it's the one all-inclusive conference where we're going to have speakers from Google, a speaker from Facebook will be here, Lance will be keynoting. There will be a lot of industry experts here.
We'll be here.
Rachel and I will be here. We'll be here to answer questions, talk with you guys, have a panel. There are a lot of people who have already registered. I know that because I'm on the notifications that they come through.
I'm also on notifications,
Rachel
so like I'm super excited to see this crowd.
Yes, and we are very excited because there are a lot of people. With that being said, there are still also a few limited spots available, so we really encourage you guys to check it out. It is going to be on November the 12th, which is a Monday. It's an all-day event, so I think like 9 to 5 is
one day only.
Yep, one day only, 9 to 5. Lunch, breakfast will be provided. Registration, like I said, is completely free. So feel free to check it out. It's oneseo.com/the1conference, or like I mentioned last week, you can text the number 1 and CONF. So 1conf to 797979, and that'll give you all the instructions you need to make sure that you save your spot on the RSVP list. But we're really excited. If you want to talk voice with us, you want to talk featured snippets, you want to talk SEO, PPC.
You want to talk Disney streaming services, like this.
Exactly. Facebook portal versus Facebook Aloha, whatever you want to talk. You know, it's going to be a really, really fun day. It's going to be a great day, lots of information. We're super excited about it. We can't wait to see you guys there. But again, spots are limited, so feel free to definitely check it out and save that date on your calendar, and we'll see you there.
Yeah, so thank you for joining us for our extra spooky special
we
Halloween
hope
episode.
you guys had
hope everyone had a safe and happy Halloween, and this kicks off the holiday season.
Yes, absolutely. Everybody have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys next time.